Fear. It's something that we face pretty frequently, actually, even if you're a person who's pretty well balanced and you feel as though fear is not something that can keep you down. Of course, it's not something that can keep you down because it has to do with your mindset. It has to do with how you're thinking about the fear. But let's look at the regular everyday human and what fills us with fear. I know this one young man who is deathly afraid of stink bugs. And if you're not from this part of the country where I'm recording this podcast here in the United States, you may not be aware of what stink bugs are, but they're exactly as they imply. They're bugs and they stink. And they don't always stink you right away. They stink you if you bother them. And they sort of walk around with this armor on them. Their shells are really hard. They're actually kind of cute when they're young. They're like a bright fluorescent green. And they're really, really cute. But as they get older, they're not as cute. And they like to get into your sink. They like to get into your food. They like to be exactly where you're about to put your hand. And so wherever you are, if you touch a stink bug or you bother it with some hot water or you go to take a bite of your food, oh God forbid, right? It stinks you. It sprays its stink on you. Now, when I first got familiar with stink bugs, I thought that they sort of had a pine sort of smell, but now, like the longer I'm exposed to them, the more I just have to get away. I can't handle them. But this particular young man, he was actually afraid of them. Now, maybe it was associated with the smell. Maybe it was just the fact that they end up everywhere where you don't want them to be. But anytime he was around a stink bug, he would just sort of get chills and sick to his stomach, and the fear would kick in. I also knew a man once who was terrified of eating apples because at one point he took a bite of an apple and there was indeed a worm in it. So there was sort of this body reaction, a full body reaction to the thought of eating an apple. So sometimes the fears that we have are pretty small, but how we got to the point of having those fears could have been pretty significant at the time that they developed. Like taking a bite of an apple and finding a worm can really color you, because at that point you're like, this is disgusting. This is gross. Maybe you allow it to come out of your mouth. Maybe you've had a few bites. So a few of those bites come out all at once, like you're reacting to it. Your body, your cells remember that this has happened. And now anytime you come in contact with an apple, that's where you're at. You end up with this state of fear. So what is the fear? Is it just the fact that something gross happened? No, fear is actually a reaction that you have to something that was unexpected. And if you did expect it, you didn't give yourself enough warning, enough thought before it occurred. And perhaps you even created the fear because it was something unknown before you actually experienced it. So fear is something that comes about when you feel that there is no trust, when your faith in the situation is a little askew. Fear is something that happens when you have separation. So I read this book recently. It's called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. So in this book, he was talking about fear. And he was talking about how there's no need for fear when you have trust and when you have faith. When you trust that everything's fine, then anything that could be bringing you fear is just a learning experience or is just an experience. When you experience your life, even the moments when you're facing fear, you're working through those moments without the whole body reaction or the mind getting completely out of control. And so what this implies is that your mind is the part of you that is in control of how you react to the situation. If you choose to trust, if you exercise your faith, you are less apt to experience the fear. Instead, you've got curiosity about the situation. Now, there are times, as I said, where fear is definitely warranted. It's something that threatens your life. It's something that threatens your livelihood. Whatever the thing is, it threatens something about you. And so the fear can be warranted. But even in those situations, if you allow yourself to let go of some of the fear and just experience the moment so that you can learn from it, it will allow you to expand. It will allow you to face things on a more positive level so that you can gain understanding rather than feeling as though your life is completely out of control. Now, as I mentioned, fear can create a cell memory, meaning every cell in your body will have the memory of the reaction to whatever the thing is. If it's the worm in the apple, then seeing an apple will make you tense up, and every single cell inside your body will take part in that tensing up. So how do you control that? If your mind is in control of how you react, what is it that you can do when your body, when your cells are reacting? Well, here's the thing. The mind has control over that as well. You can reprogram your cells. So if your initial instinct is to tense up and get frightened, you can tell yourself everything's safe, everything's good. I don't need to react this way. Like, you basically talk yourself off the ledge. You basically give yourself a pep talk in mid-reaction so that your cells start recognizing everything's cool, everything's all right. It's like training a dog. If you've ever seen some of the videos of people working with dogs who are considered troubled dogs, who other people don't even want to deal with because they growl, they bark, they bite when they're in situations. And really what it comes down to is the dog is frightened. And when you get the dog to recognize they're safe, when you get them to recognize that they don't have to be the alpha all the time, they can trust their human to be the alpha so that they don't have to be pulled down by all the stress. When you get the dog to that point, they stop reacting that way. When they start associating getting pet and getting love with situations that normally would cause them stress, when you get them to sit and relax, then they start realizing, oh, it's not such a big deal when a plastic bag is like floating across the backyard. It's not such a big deal when a person I don't know walks up. I can be on alert, but I don't have to attack them, right? You start getting all of their cells to start recognizing it's cool to be calm. It's the same thing with all of your cells and with your mind. Talk yourself off the ledge. Remind yourself that you don't have to be the alpha in every situation. Allow yourself to learn and experience in the moment when you're normally experiencing fear. So when we're talking about experiencing new things, another thing comes into play, and that is called expansion. When you expand your mind and you expand your horizons by experiencing new things, that can be coupled with a little bit of anxiety as well. Because when we don't know what lies ahead, we'll have a tendency to react in fear, and we'll have a tendency to make choices that keep us safer. But I use the quotes because the thing is this. Yeah, sure, safer because you're only dealing with something you already know. But what if the thing you already know is not the best choice for you? What if it's not good for you? What if it's not empowering for you? You've got to allow yourself to expand so that you can experience the new things and then make choices based on that experience. When we expand our lives, it's exactly the way it implies. You can live in a small box and only experience 2 or 3 things in a given day, or you can allow yourself to expand outside of the box and experience life from a new angle. You can look down on the life and really analyze it. You can stand to the side and really experience it. You can be right in the middle, but notice how far it goes when you allow it to. But if you don't allow that expansion so that you can get outside of the box, your life is limited and you're not allowing yourself to really move forward and experience everything that life can bring to you. So expansion is really important, but it comes down to trusting in the learning. If you don't trust yourself and you don't trust in the opportunities that you have to learn, you're going to find yourself stagnating. And if you're already there, if you're already feeling like you're stagnating, what got you to this point? What filled you with fear? And why did you react the way that you did? And is this something you can make a different, more powerful, more impactful choice on so that you can get out of the box and move forward? We've all had experiences in our lives that have changed the way we've seen the world. Is this something that you can change back? Or you can take a powerful step where you're still keeping yourself safe, but you're allowing yourself to expand at the same time. It's time to really investigate that and figure it out. You need to trust in the learning. You need to trust that it's okay to allow yourself to step out of the box. Now, positivity gives you a competitive edge in anything that you do. If you're trying to be a leader, if you're trying to be a participant, if you're trying to just be a spectator, if you're trying to be anything in your life that has those types of labels, recognize that positivity is what really gives you the edge up. You don't have to be a person who's in charge of a company. You don't have to be a person who's leading everybody. You can still be somebody who stands off to the side and experiences things by witnessing. All of that is okay. We don't all come into this world with a mission to become a leader. That's not the way it works. We all have different skills and we all have different needs and wants. So if you're a person who really desires to be a spectator, recognize that you can still face that situation and that choice with positivity so that you can have a competitive edge within your own life. Follow what I'm saying? You don't have to be competitive with other people. You can be competitive with who you were yesterday or even 5 minutes ago. You can allow yourself the positivity that allows you to expand and trust as you do so. So now going to the celebration moment, I want to talk about becoming. What is that? When you are becoming something, what does that mean? Becoming is the process. Becoming is all of the stuff between the box and the new version of you. Becoming is all of the choices and the trust and the positivity and all of the willingness to experience that gets you to a new state of being. Becoming is one of the most beautiful processes that we have because in becoming, we get to experience. And all of those experiences are what make up who we become. And we go through this every stage of our life. We're becoming every moment of our lives. So if we experience life in the real time, we're allowing ourselves to be the person we are and watching the experience as it goes on. Our lives are richer that way. So don't allow yourself to become without experiencing the process. My goodness. And don't allow yourself to stop yourself from getting to that new person just because you're afraid of all of the processes in the middle. If you're afraid of the becoming, you're going to stifle yourself. You're going to stop yourself from becoming who you are supposed to be. If you're afraid of the becoming, you're never going to see who you are at point B. If you're afraid of the becoming, you'll never know what you're capable of. Ouch. It's time for you to stop resisting change. It's time for you to understand who you are and to trust who you are. It's time for you to let go of the fear and allow the cell memory to be reprogrammed so that you can really live up to your potential. It's time for you to allow yourself to expand and let go of the fear so that you can get out of the box. Stop allowing other people to tell you that you're oppressed. Stop allowing other people to tell you that you don't have the mind that it takes to get to where you need to be. Stop allowing other people to tell you that you are anything less than what you actually are. You are something far bigger than what you are experiencing right now. You are capable of so much more. So stop resisting the change.